मेड इन द डायरी एज टू हु वाज इन्फॉर्म्ड ऑफ द अरेस्ट। जो डायरी होती है पुलिस स्टेशन पे, उसमें इस बात को मेंशन किया जाएगा कि इनके रिक्वेस्ट पे या नहीं भी रिक्वेस्ट पे इस व्यक्ति को इन्फॉर्म किया गया इनके अरेस्ट के बारे में। फिर आता है आपका 1997, एक केस आपका जोगिंदर सिंह का 1994 का था। डीके वासु का केस 1997 में आया। एक एनजीओ था और इसने एक पीआईएल फाइल किया सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, कस्टोडियल टॉर्चर को लेकर के या फिर इनकाउंटर को लेकर के, इस तरह से जो है। तो इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बहुत सारी गाइडलाइन जारी किया, 11 गाइडलाइंस, कि जब पुलिस, जैसे मैं ज्यादा पे बात नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि समय भी कम है, तो बस जस्ट इंट्रोड्यूस कर दे रहा हूं। जैसे किसी कोई पुलिस अथॉरिटी किसी व्यक्ति को अरेस्ट करता है तो बाकायदा उसका नेम बैच होगा और उसकी जो यूनिफॉर्म होगी, और जो भी वहां के संभ्रांत लोग हैं, रेपुटेटेड लोग हैं, उनसे साइन कराया जाएगा, हाँ इस व्यक्ति को अरेस्ट किया गया। तो इस तरह की 11 गाइडलाइंस जारी की गई। और 11 गाइडलाइंस आप लोग इसको समय के कारण मैं नहीं बता रहा हूँ, आप लोग इसको देख लीजिएगा, नेट पे मिल जाएगा, बुक में भी मिल जाएगा, या आप लोग कभी अगर जो भी पार्टिसिपेंट इंटरेस्टेड हो वो हमसे पर्सनली भी कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं इसको लेके। और जो तीसरा केस आया था प्रकाश सिंह वर्सेज यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, प्रकाश सिंह वर्सेज यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, इसमें भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कुछ डायरेक्टिव जो है इशू किए। पहला क्या था, इसमें कहा कि एक गवर्नमेंट को एक गाइडलाइन दिया कि आप जो है एक स्टेट सिक्योरिटी कमीशन आप इस्टेब्लिश करें। सेकंड था कि जो डीजीपी होता है, जो डीजीपी है, डीजीपी का अपॉइंटमेंट मेरिट बेस हो। जो वो तरीका था इनका प्रमोशन या जैसे भी, उसको खत्म करके इनका मेरिट बेस इनका अपॉइंटमेंट हो और इनका मिनिमम टेन्योर 2 इयर्स हो। तीसरी जो इंपॉर्टेंट बात कही गई इसमें कि जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन और लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, पुलिस का काम क्या होता है, दोनों दिया गया है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन भी करती है और वही लॉ एंड ऑर्डर भी मेंटेन करती है। इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि ऐसी आप व्यवस्था बनाएं कि जो पुलिस का वर्क है, जो फंक्शन ऑफ द पुलिस है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन और मेंटेन टू लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, दोनों को सेपरेट किया जाए। जब दोनों को सेपरेट किया जाएगा तो पुलिस के वर्क में भी एफिशिएंसी आएगी, ट्रांसपेरेंट होगा। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इसमें कहा गया पीसीए के बारे में, और कहा कि एक जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट है वो पुलिस कंप्लेंट अथॉरिटी, पीसीए पुलिस कंप्लेंट अथॉरिटी स्टेट लेवल पे इस्टेब्लिश करे, जो कि जिसमें कहा जिस इसमें पीसीए में कंप्लेंट किसकी होगी, पुलिस ऑफिसर्स की ही कंप्लेंट होगी। अगर पुलिस ऑफिसर से ऊपर कोई इस तरह का एलिगेशन लगता है तो पीसीए में उनके अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट की जाए। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट जो इसमें आता है एनएससी, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कमीशन। इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने गाइडलाइन जारी किया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को कि आप नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कमीशन इस्टेब्लिश करें। अब रिसर्च का विषय ये आता है कि इन गाइडलाइंस को हमारे लेजिस्लेचर ने कहां तक फॉलो किया, क्योंकि जुडिशरी का वर्क नहीं है लाइन एक्ट करना, जुडिशरी का वर्क नहीं है लाइन एक्ट करना, लाइन एक्ट करना किसका काम है, लेजिस्लेचर का। तो ये जो गाइडलाइंस आई, ये ड्यूटी है लेजिस्लेचर की, इनको फॉलो करे। इसी को देखते हुए जो आपका जोगिंदर सिंह का केस आया जिसमें हमने आपको 3 गाइडलाइन बताया, डीके वासु के केस में 11 गाइडलाइंस आई। इन सारी गाइडलाइंस को ऐसा नहीं कि लेजिस्लेचर ने कुछ नहीं किया, लेजिस्लेचर ने 2005, 2009, 2013 में अमेंडमेंट करके इनको सीआरपीसी में इनकॉर्पोरेट किया। जैसे सेक्शन 41, 41B, 41C, 41D, 50A, 53A, 54, 54A, 55A, 60A, ये जो इनकॉर्पोरेशन हुआ सीआरपीसी में, ये उन गाइडलाइंस का ही परिणाम है, उन गाइडलाइंस का ही परिणाम है। जैसे उसमें कहा गया था डीके वासु के केस में कि पुलिस कंट्रोल रूम एट डिस्ट्रिक्ट, तो 41C में इसको इनकॉर्पोरेट किया गया 2009 में, drives of arrested person to meet an advocate of his choice during interrogation, 2009 में इसको इनकारपोरेट किया गया। तो ये सारे चीज, एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ पर्सन अक्यूज्ड ऑफ रेप बाय मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर, 2005 में इसको इनकारपोरेट किया गया। एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ अरेस्टेड पर्सन बाय मेडिकल ऑफिसर, डीके वासु के केस में कहा गया कि जब भी किसी व्यक्ति को अरेस्ट किया जाता है तो उसका मेडिकल चेकअप होना चाहिए। इसको सब्स्टिट्यूट किया गया 2009 में। हेल्थ एंड सेफ्टी ऑफ अरेस्टेड पर्सन 2009 में आया। अरेस्ट टू मेड स्ट्रिक्टली अकॉर्डिंग टू द कोर्ट। तो ये सारी चीजें कहीं ना कहीं इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट के डिसीजंस का ही परिणाम रहा कि इनको सीआरपीसी में इनकारपोरेट किया गया। और आपका जो हाँ समझ सर।
जी जी, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
बस कंक्लूड करेंगे 5 मिनट।
जी सर, कंक्लूड हो जाए। यस सर, यस सर।
हाँ, मैं देख रहा हूँ, टाइम देख रहा हूँ कि आपके पास भी समय नहीं है, तो बस
सर हमारे नेक्स्ट स्पीकर है सर, और मैं टाइम भी थोड़ा टाइम स्पेन भी कम लिया हुआ था। केवल इन्फॉर्म करना था या हमें अंडरस्टैंड करना था रिसर्च का एरिया किसको ज्यादा हम और एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं।
इसीलिए मैं
जीरोसिटी ने कहा कि आप ऐसा एरिया एक्सप्लोर करिए सेमिनार के जरिए, तो हम फिर इस पर बढ़े सर आगे। और आप जैसे लर्नड स्कॉलर्स को हमने इनवाइट किया एंड इट वाज वेरी मच फॉर्चुनेट टू अस।
बस 2 या 3 मिनट में मैं कंक्लूड करता हूं, और इसीलिए मैं प्रोविजंस को और डिफाइन नहीं कर रहा, बस 2 मिनट आप लूंगा। और
जी, वो तो सर हमारा अगले जो सीरीज आएगा उसमें हमारा पूरा 1 घंटे का लेक्चर रखा जाएगा। लेकिन आज सर बड़ा ही सार्वजनिक रहा आपका, उसको मैं रिपीट नहीं करूंगा दूसरे एंकर्स की तरह या कंपेयरर्स की तरह, क्योंकि आपने इतना अच्छा बोला। जितने हमारे यहाँ पर पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं सभी अपने अपने लॉ फील्ड बड़े मास्टर पर यहाँ पर मैं देख रहा हूँ। नेहा मैडम है, और अभिषेक पीपी तिवारी सर है, शिवाचंद प्रजापति जी हैं, और मुकेश कुमार जी हैं। ये सभी सर अपने अपने फील्ड में लॉ के बड़े अच्छी मास्टर्स हैं, दे आर चैंप्स। और अच्छा है सर कि मृणाल मैडम है, इसमें चौहान मैडम है, एस.डी. चौहान मैडम। तो ठीक सर, आप कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर को टेकअप करते हैं।
बस 2 to 3 मिनट में मैं कंक्लूड कर दे रहा हूँ।
आप अपना टाइम नहीं सर, आराम से।
तो जैसा कि सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स को भी मालूम है कि समय के प्रॉब्लम के कारण बहुत ज्यादा मैं इसको डिस्कस ना करके मैं इसको अपना कंक्लूजन रखना चाहूंगा। तो मैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि पुलिस अथॉरिटीज को पूरी तरह से जिम्मेदार समझ रहा हूं, ये पुलिस अथॉरिटीज की ही देन है, पुलिस विभाग की ही देन है कि हम लोग आज चैन से रात में सोते हैं। अगर ये पुलिस ना हो तो कहीं ना कहीं जो स्थितियां हैं वो स्थितियां नहीं होंगी। लेकिन मैं ये चाह रहा हूं कि एक्चुअल में जो हमारे प्रोविजंस दिए गए हैं सीआरपीसी में, आईपीसी में, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, उनको कैसे और अच्छा किया जाए। जो उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स हैं क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम के अकॉर्डिंग, उसमें और क्या अच्छा किया जा सकता है। तो जो क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम का गोल है उसको अचीव करने में पुलिस की बहुत ही बड़ी भूमिका रही है और आगे रहेगी। हमको उनके बारे में सोचना चाहिए कि कितनी सारी कमेटी बनाई गई जिसमें कहा गया पुलिस के रिफॉर्म के बारे में, पुलिस कमेटी बनाई गई और कहा गया उसमें कि पुलिस की जो 24 आवर्स ड्यूटी होती है, या उनके वीकली अवकाश की बात की गई, रिक्रूटमेंट की बात की गई, वर्कलोड की बात की गई, पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर की बात की गई। तो कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा नहीं है कि सारी गलतियां उन्हीं की हैं, नहीं, उनके ऊपर भी बहुत सारे पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर हो सकते हैं, वर्कलोड का प्रेशर हो सकता है। तो हमें ये देखना है कि इन सारी कमियों को हम कैसे दूर कर सकते हैं। और जहां तक हम अपने फंडामेंटल राइट्स की बात करते हैं, तो मैं अपने सारे पार्टिसिपेंट और मैं अपने देश के जो भी हमारे सिटीजन्स हैं, मैं सबसे चाहता हूं कि लोग अपने राइट्स को जाने। तो सारी प्रॉब्लम हमें लगता है कि अपने आप काफी कुछ सही हो जाएगी। और हमारे यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी बहुत सारे इनेक्टेड लॉज हैं, लॉज की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बस प्रॉपर उनका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होना चाहिए और हमें अपने राइट्स के पर अवेयर होना चाहिए। समझ सर, मैं आपको फिर से एक बार धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि आपने एक अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म हम लोगों को प्रोवाइड करवाया, और आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी को, आपके डिपार्टमेंट को बधाई देना चाहूंगा कि सारे ऑर्गेनाइजर्स को और पार्टिसिपेंट को कि आपने एक मौका दिया, हम लोगों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया अपनी बात को रखने के लिए। थैंक यू।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर विनोद कुमार सर। सर मुझे इस बात को ऑन रिकॉर्ड सर बोलने में बहुत ही खुशी हो रही है कि आज हमारे इस नेशनल वेबिनार में हमने एक ऐसे स्कॉलर को इनवाइट किया और जिन्होंने हमारे इन्विटेशन को एक्सेप्ट किया, जो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ ऑफ इंडिया, जूरिस्प्रूडेंस और क्रिमिनल लॉ के बहुत ही अच्छे एक्सपर्ट हैं इंडिया में खास तौर से। और वो कोई और नहीं, डॉक्टर विनोद कुमार सरोज सर ही हैं, जिनको कि मैं पिछले काफी लंबे समय से जानता हूँ और सर के मैंने कई लेक्चर्स भी अटेंड किए हुए हैं। और सर आज आपके जो हमारा इंट्रोडक्टरी सेशन था ये पुलिस प्रोसीजरल जस्टिस एंड रूल ऑफ लॉ, उसको सर बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुली नाइसली स्केच आउट किया सर। किस प्रकार से कमीशन आए यहाँ पर, उनका क्या परफॉर्मेंस रहा, क्या उनका रिकमेंडेशन रहा, उसका किस एक्सटेंट तक इम्प्लीकेशन रहा, हमारे सुप्रीम कोर्ट का क्या ओपिनियन रहा, और साथ ही साथ हम जो हमारा पुलिस पर्सनल है, पुलिस फोर्सेस है, वो किन सर्कमस्टेंसेस में काम करती है और उसके बावजूद भी हमें एक पीसफुल एंड ऑर्डरली सोसाइटी प्रोवाइड करती है जिसमें कि हम रहते हैं। तो सर आपका ये आपका बहुत ही वैल्यूएबल है। और इन सब के ही जो प्राप्त कर सकते हैं और विधि के शासन को हम स्थापित रख सकते हैं। क्या हम ऐसा एक अपने संवैधानिक दायरे के भीतर रहते हुए ऐसे समाज का निर्माण कर सकते हैं? निश्चित रूप से सर आपने बहुत ही बेहतरीन तरीके से फ्यूचर रिसर्च करने के लिए यहाँ पर मोटिवेट किया है हम सभी लोगों को, खासतौर से मुझे सर। और मुझे बहुत ही खुशी होगी सर कि मैं आपके साथ ज्वाइन करके एक दो रिसर्च पेपर भी आपको पब्लिश करूँ सर, इंटरनेशनल जर्नल्स। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। अभी आप साथ बने रहिएगा सर, आपका आशीर्वाद हमें और भी आगे चाहिए। और इसी श्रृंखला में हम डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर को इनवाइट करना चाहते हैं। डॉक्टर विकास सर हैं? डॉक्टर विकास सर, डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर? हाँ सर इज देयर। सर अपना माइक अनम्यूट करिएगा। विकास सर लग तो रहा है कि हैं ज्वाइन यहाँ पर। विकास सर आप ज्वाइन कर लें सर, तो तुरंत हम जो है आपको इंट्रोडक्शन दे दें। और मैं बता दूं सभी अपने पैनलिस्ट से, अपने रिसर्च पर्सन से और पार्टिसिपेंट से कि प्रोग्राम और बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी लखनऊ से किया है, जहाँ पर कि सर ने गोल्ड भी अचीव किया है। और वहीं से डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर ने अपना PhD कंप्लीट किया हुआ है। डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर ने कई रहे और के बाद भी
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट यू सर, बट योर वॉइस डिस्टॉर्ट हो रही है सर, आपकी वॉइस।
बच्चे भी हमारे साथ आते हैं और ये कोरोना का तो चले जाए और पानी बरस रहा है तो मैं घर छोड़ नहीं पाया। खैर डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय सर हैज perhaps he has joined us, and now I am very much privileged to welcome Dr. Vikas Kumar Upadhyay in this national seminar on behalf of Sant Gaira Guru University Sarguja Ambikapur, as well as on behalf of my Department of Legal Studies. विकास कुमार brother,
Saman
sir,
sir,
please.
I'm audible to you.
Yes sir, you are audible. Please sir, take over the platform.
Actually, I have some problem with the network issue, so therefore I have joined this meeting through the mobile phone, and
Yes,
my
sir.
laptop is working also, but there's some issues are there with the network. So
But sir, I have one request to
sorry
you
for the inconvenience
that
caused to all of you.
please continue. Please, sir, keep your lecture in bilingual because
Okay.
I am trying to address majority of Hindi medium participants who are belonging to Chhattisgarh, and rest participants who are stalwarts in legal academia. They are from different states of India. They are well versed in both languages. लेकिन सर मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप हिंदी में ज्यादा रखिएगा अपना, जैसा कि हमारे रिक्वेस्ट पर अभी डॉक्टर विनोद कुमार सर ने रखा। तो यस डॉक्टर विकास सर, मैं आप तो पुलिस प्रोसीजरल जस्टिस एंड रूल ऑफ लॉ पर सर रिसर्चेबल एरियाज को आप हाईलाइट करने का अपना एक लेक्चर यहाँ पर सर।
Thank you for at the outset. I am very much thankful to Saman sir and the registrar and the vice chancellor of the university. They have given me opportunity.
वीडियो नहीं आता है क्या?
Some problems are there with the network.
अच्छा कोई बात नहीं सर, आपका नहीं करें।
Is it visible to all of you?
Yes sir, visible. Are you presenting sir?
Yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
good.
Yes sir, thank you sir.
So at the outset, I would like to thank to the vice chancellor and the Saman Narayan sir and the registrar sir for giving me opportunity to share my views on this very important topic. That topic is that is the police and the police justice procedure and rule of law. I hope that I'm audible to all of you. Anyone, can you please respond so that I can get my...
Yes, sir. You are audible, and your presentation is visible to all of us. And
okay,
let me endorse one thing, that it is unprecedented for me that you have come to us with your presentation, sir. Otherwise, I had not requested. However, I am very much thankful to you, sir, that you have measured the depth of the issue, and you have preferred before with your presentation. Thank you, sir. You please continue, sir.
Okay. So, as the topic is with respect to the rule of law, so I had chosen the topic and the title of the topic, which I think that it is a perfect for the display, that is the policing the police via lenses of rule of law. So the why I had selected this topic, I would like to tell you, because you know that the police, they are doing the policing, but sometimes it is also very much necessary that we need to the police should be also must be under some surveillance. The activity must be also some under kind of the check and balance, and therefore there is need to do some policing also on the police. And we will try to understand how the rule of law, what are the principles of the rule of law, and how these rule of law principles can be taken into care while policing the police. So this is the kind of the idea. Therefore, I had chosen this topic to for this day. So now you know that just before going to the main agenda and the main topic of this day, I would like to tell you about some features about the rule of law. However, I know that most of the students, most of the participants who are there, who are here, they are having the background from the rule of law, and those who don't have, they also know about the rule of law. You know that as a student of law, for me, and as a participant, you all know that the principle of rule of law normally we see that the A.V. Dicey has the credit to explain and tell much about the rule of law. But there was one judge, you all know that, Justice Edward Coke, who has firstly coined this word rule of law through the case laws in the UK. And while understanding the rule of law, what he has done that what is the ambit of the rule of law should be there, and what kind of the features should be come within the rule of law. So while explaining the rule of law, Mr. Justice Edward Coke said that if there is an absence of arbitrary power on the part of the government, this is one of the principles of the rule of law. So he was of the opinion that there must be absence of the arbitrary power on the part of the government. Now you all know that what does it mean by arbitrary power? The arbitrary power word which is here, it shows that there is no any guideline how to exercise this kind of the power. So you know that the government having lots of power to do, they have a lot of work to do, and while doing this, they have lots of power as well. Now, if there is a lack of guideline, if there is a lack of any kind of the principles which are required to be monitored or which are required to be followed by the government, then in that case, if there is absence of there is a principle, then that will be the case of arbitrary. So whenever we are saying there is a rule of law, it means that there should not be any arbitrary power. The state would be exercising its powers as per the rule, as per the law settled, as per the principle settled. No one can just go with their own whims and caprice so that they can do whatever they want to do. So the one principle of rule of law is that there should be absence of arbitrary power. Now here I would like to correlate this, the government agency which is here, you can see on the screen, that the police is also a part of the government. You all know that whenever we are talking about the government, normally the police, executive machinery, they all are coming within the head of the government. So the police is also a part of this government. So the police has to also exercise their powers within the principles of the law, and they cannot do this thing arbitrarily without giving any justification. Then another principle which Edward Coke has said, that no man is punishable or can be made to suffer in body or good except for distinct breach of law established in the ordinary legal manner before the ordinary court of the land. So what you find that he was saying that if there is any kind of punishment which is not as per the as per the ordinary legal manners, and there is kind of suffering lot of to the bodies and goods as well, then in that case there will be a rule of law. Now you can see that lot of questions are putting on the police whenever they are putting someone in the custody, when they are trying to get some evidences. So a lot of the questions comes on the side on the police authorities, whether they are exercising properly or not. So the suffering in the bodies and the goods which are there, so a lot of the things are there which is going to be affected during the police procedure also. So if any man, any woman who is punished or who has been suffered, who has suffered or who has got any loss, any kind of, because of the violation of any law, then that will be the case of a negation of rule of law. There would never exist a rule of law. So in nutshell, we can say that if there is absence of arbitrary power and the law is of such a nature that it ensures that no one is going to suffer as a body or as a goods, then in that case there will be a rule of law. So the person or his goods or her goods should not suffer without the application of the proper law. So in that case, if these situations are there, then in that case it would be called as a rule of law. Then you all know that as a student of law, we are all knowing that there is one book which was written by Mr. A.V. Dicey, that is Law of the Constitution. In that book, he has discussed about some principles of the rule of law. Then whenever we are saying that what is the rule of law, then these principles should come in that country. Or if we are claiming that India is a country which is believing in the rule of law, then in that situations, these principles should be there. The first one is that supremacy of the law, that the law will prevail, no one's personal whims and caprice will prevail. Only the law which is there in that country, that should be that will have supremacy. Then this equality before law. As a student of Constitution, as a student of law, we all know that equality before law means that all the person will be treated equally. In this book of Mr. A.V. Dicey, he has written that from the Prime Minister to the Constable, they will be treated equally for their actions. So there will be no any kind of privilege. So negation of the privilege, no one will be treated because no one will get any kind of the privilege because of his status. So if there is no privilege, any kind of the privilege given because of his status, then there will be equality before law. Then if you combine with this supremacy of law and equality before law, then what you find that it talks about that there should be a predominance of legal spirit, that the legal spirit should be there. Every action of that country, of that state, should go in such a manner that a legal spirit, a kind of belief, a kind of faith, more into the legal framework, or kind of belief that everything will be governed as per the legal principles, as per the legal philosophies, as per the legal provisions. So if these kind of the predominance are there, then we can say rule of law as per the definition of the ABDIC. So one thing which you can see, before the ABDIC, there was Mr. Edward Coke who has discussed about this rule of law. Then we have seen that how the ABDIC has tried to discuss about the rule of law. And one very interesting point, if you go to the other documents which are available on the rule of law, more or less, they are talking about these kind of the basic principles which has been discussed by Edward Coke and ABDIC. So these are some things, these are some features, these are some principles about the rule of law. Now, if you go, then there are some benefits. Why there is need to have a rule of law? You know that there are a lot of advantage and disadvantage as well. But I will go to the advantage. So now what you find that I will discuss only 3 kinds of the advantage. However, you can get so many advantages if you discuss, if you read more, then you will get so many things. But because of the constraint of the times, and because of it is also required that we have to very precise and concise. And as the topic is about the police procedure, so if you see, bound to work with legal framework. So now the police authorities, which are who are the parts of the government authorities, they are bound to work within the legal framework. So one advantage which we can see, or which we can understand, that all the legal authorities will be bound to work within the legal framework. So whatever the legal framework, for example, if the IPC is saying this, if the CRPC is saying this, if the CPC is saying this, everything will be done within that kind of the legal framework. No one can go beyond that legal framework. So one thing is that every authority which are existing in a state, they will work within the legal framework. Then no self-conferment. We cannot claim, because the rule of law does not allow someone that this powers, I assume this kind of the power. So no self-conferment. No one can say that I assume this thing and therefore I am correct. So no one can self-confer that this power belongs to me. It means everything which is coming as a power, as a liability, as a right, as a duty, they will all come through the law. No one can say that this is my understanding and therefore I had done this. So everything which is going to come, that is going to come through the laws. The laws are helping to give some rights, to some duties, some liabilities, some power, some kind of the privileges. So everything which will come through the laws. No one can claim that they are having the self-conferment. Then the very important thing is that why need to have rule of law. If you see all these things, they have to work within the legal framework. No one can say that this is self-conferment. They can assume everything, because you know that if these things will be happen, the first and second point, then what we'll find that it will ensure that adequate check. You know that the check and balance in any country is very much important. If you don't have the check and balance, then what will happen? A lot of problems will happen. The authority will have a lot of problems. The authority will create a lot of problems. The authority will itself have some problems. So there should be a check and balance. So the rule of law has some advantage, and that is advantage that you can ensure the adequate check. So if any authority which is not working within the legal framework, and someone has just taken because of his belief that he has this right, then it can be checked by the proper authority. So this is the kind of the advantage which we can see under the rule of law. So this is also applicable on this. Now come to the Indian police system. However, there are a lot of theories. And as Saman sir has said, that we will have sessions also for futures. More speakers will come. They will discuss more things on this Indian police system. From my side, I would like to add as some basic things, provisions of the Indian Constitution. For example, if you take the Indian Constitution and if you read the 7th schedule, and in that 7th schedule, if you read list 2nd and entry 2, then what you will find that the police system, that to make the laws on the police, to make the procedure for the police, policing the police and all these things, it comes within the state list. So you know that the Indian police system is basically falls within the state domains, and each state have right to have their own police force. And therefore you can see, as of now we are having a 29 states. Now it's state has been reduced also. So we have these states have their own police force as well. So what you find that what are the primary functions of these states? So now what is the primary function of this state? The primary function of this state is that to uphold and enforce laws, investigate crimes, and ensure security for people in the country. And this is the kind of the things which they are required to do. They will try to ensure that the supremacy of the law will exist. Then they will try to enforce the law so that the law-abiding society will become more. And if the society is not following that law, and then in case any kind of the violation happens or any kind of the crimes happens, then the police will do investigations, and they will also ensure as that the security for the people in the country will be maintained. So they will also monitor that the law, order, and peace, everything can be maintained properly in the society, in the country. Now, you know that Lord Atkin had said that the power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now the police has this kind of the functions. And while doing these functions, they have some powers. Now, when they are doing these powers, and you know that it is a kind of tendency when someone has some powers, normally we have believed that the powers tends to corrupt. And if it is a kind of unguided power, it is absolute, then it will have absolute power. So there are a lot of things which happens with the police, and there are a lot of allegations also against the police, where the police officers has been charged for different kind of the offenses as well. And these are the cases where when the police has exercised their powers, and sometimes it looks that they have used this power as absolutely, and finally some kind of the corruption, some kind of the offenses is coming from the side of the police authority, which is basically to enforce, to ensure the security for the law. So the powers must be given, rights must be given to the states, but it cannot be absolutely in nature, and therefore there's need to check and balance. Now, what kind of the kind of the violations they have done? If you see, there are some incident happens. I have taken from the source also. You can see on the screen that I had also mentioned about the source, and that is scroll.in. So if you see, then there's one case incident happened which was happened in the Hyderabad, where you all know that these 4 people have been accused of brutally raping and murdering a young woman. And finally what happened, they have it was made a statement from the side of police officers that a kind of encounter happened, and therefore they have been shot and dead there. So they have the story that they snatched weapon from police and fired on police. This is kind of the story normally which the police makes whenever they are going to do any kind of encounter. So see, these incidents which I am mentioning here, these incidents puts questions on the rule of law. Why it puts the question of the law? Because most of the times you will find that whenever the encounter happens, the story is the same. They snatch weapon from police and fired on the police. No, when you have the law, when you have the CRPC, when you have the IPC in the matters of criminal law, then why you are going for this kind of the killing or this kind of encounters? Because you know that as per the law, the person who has committed any kind of wrong, who has committed any kind of offenses, they should be punished as per the IPC. So the law is there, and as per the one principle of rule of law, that there must be supremacy of law. So the IPC and the CRPC should prevail, rather than this kind of this story like they snatched weapons from police and fired on police. This kind of the things should not happen. Then you can see that a lot of incidents happened during the 2018 and 19. In which this UP, some kinds of the same story like they snatched weapons from police and fired on the police happened. Then in Uttarakhand police, they have shot young MBA graduate 50 times, not one single time. They have shot 50 times on that young MBA graduate. And the same story that this snatched the service revolver from a sub inspector. So what you find that this is the kind of the things which normally we call it as a cold-blooded murder, but because it happens to the police, so a lot of the things will happen, inquiry committee and commission will happen. But you see, the 50 times, if you are firing on someone's body, then you can understand that what kind of the fate, or what kind of the happen, what will happen with that body. Then similarly in the Tamil Nadu 2007, these are some illustrations which you can see here. However, if you see, a lot of the things are there, which you can see in each year. A lot of the things happen which have the same story. They snatched weapons from police and fired on the police. And similarly in 2007, another incident happened where the Tamil Nadu police has also claimed this kind of the story, that this is the way. So this is the source from where I had taken, that is Scroll India. Then you know that as a student of law, and those who are having some association with the laws, and those who are the citizen of India, we should know that this case of Lalita Kumari versus government of Uttar Pradesh, this is a leading case where the Supreme Court had said that whenever any kind of the things happen which is of cognizable offense, then the FIR should be there. But what you see is still the FIRs are not being lodged. The police are denying that they will not take up the law. They will not take up the FIR. They will not lodge the FIR. They suggest them that please file a complaint and all these things. So what you find, that there's one study which was happened with the help of Common Cause. You can see on the source. And this Common Cause is a kind of NGO. You all know that this Common Cause has done a study, and this study was basically done on the both the side. They had taken the interviews, they have taken the questionnaires, they have put the questionnaire before the police authorities, and what are the things which came from the police authorities, these were put in this. So this study which was done by the Common Cause, it was not just the opinion of the individuals. It is all the things, all the findings which I am showing on the screen. They are the findings from the Common Cause, and these findings are coming from the police officers. So these are the things which came as a research from the police officers. The police officers had said these things, that even though we have the cases of Lalita Kumari versus government of Uttar Pradesh, but the police officers are not taking so much seriously the cognizable cases. Then the police has also, through that research, it was also found that the police officers have the views that the 61% of civil police agreed with the statement that the number of crimes reported are lesser than the number of crimes committed in society. So they have also said that during this study, it was found that the 61% of the police officer has said that how the number of the crimes which are going to be reported, they are less in comparison to actually the number of the offences which are is going to be happening in this society. Then they have also said that they have also confessed, or you can say that they have also given opinions in that research, that if you compare the police personnel in the Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Nagaland, Karnataka are more likely to report that they have extrajudicial means to resolve matters. So they want to settle down everything through the extrajudicial means. You know that the extrajudicial means, without going to the courts, without going to the procedure of the courts, just do the justice at once. And this is kind of the tendency which comes from these kind of the police personnel in this state. This is the study which you can see. These are the studies which you can see on this website, which is available here. Now, this is a kind of the study which comes, and it is a kind of the things where we can say that the power corrupts, and therefore they are going to misuse as well. So this is the way you can see here. Then this is a data which is also available on this site. If you go to this source, then you will find that the number of death of people in the police custody are getting much and much, and if you see the statistics, they are getting more. And the 374 deaths in the 1 year. So what you find, that these are the data, these are the incidents which are questioning the rule of law, whether really the rule of law exists, and which are, as you know, that the primary duty is to uphold the law, the primary duty is to enforce the law, the primary duty is to provide the security. Whether the persons who have these rights, those who have the duties to give this kind of security, to uphold the laws and all, execute the laws, whether if these are the things are happening with these people, whether they are trying to uphold the law, they are trying to uphold the rule of law, whether the police personnel are doing in such a way that the rule of law is going to exist. Some data, some incidents. However, it is not, we cannot take a kind of presumption that every police officers are doing in this way or every states are doing. But you know that if you go to the, you find that these are the data where you can find that the police office, some questions are also on the police authorities whether they are upholding the rule of law or not. So this is the way. And also you can, if you see their NCRB data, you will find that there is also some questions on the NCRB data that whether really actually the numbers of the cases which are reported here, whether they are really in the same numbers or these reported cases are less than the actual incident. I would like to share with all of you that once in 2018, P. Chidambaram has also questioned, because the government has, central government said that the 70% of the police stations are registering the 100% of FIRs. Then he has put a question, because he has been a former home minister also. So therefore, what you find that as a former home minister, he has also questioned. So lot of questions are also there, because whenever you are having powers, it comes with a lot of accountability. So we have to do with even the police officers or even anyone who have the powers, who have the authorities, they have to do with lot of accountability as well. Now, as some questions are there, so now we have to find out some forums. Now, we have to find out what are the forums through which we can do policing the police, and so that we can establish rule of law. Because in the incidents, in the data which I have shared with all of you through this screen, you have seen that some questions are there. Now, what are the forums through which we can do some monitoring? We can also do some policing on the police, and in that way we can uphold the rule of law. Then the first one is that which comes here. And the first one which comes here, that is the writ jurisdictions. You all know that, as Saroj sir had discussed, that the fundamental rights are there, and in that case, if someone's fundamental right has been violated, then that person has two kinds of the writ jurisdictions, that is Article 32 and 226. You all know that the Article 226 belongs to the High Courts, and 32 belongs to the Supreme Courts. Now, in the bracket, you can see that I have written as a compensation. I have written compensation. There are a lot of remedies are available to the affected parties, to the victims who has some claims against the police authorities. But why I am taking this? Because you know that normally we have some other remedies, some other ways to punish these people, these kind of the police personnel who are not following the rule of law. But if you see the interesting thing which happens here in 32 and 226, the Supreme Court has given a compensation also against this police authority. And I know that you all have read all these things during your LLBs and LLMs. You are doing all those studies. Now, but I would like to just tell a few things about on this point. Rudal Saab versus State of Bihar, a case of 1983, where the Supreme Court has awarded 30,000 compensations, and the ground on which they have found that there is a violation of that was the person who was acquitted, he was remained in the jail for 14 years. So the kind of good amount, which we can say, as if you compare this with the number of years that was of 1983. A child was died in the police custody, and where the police office, where the Supreme Court has also awarded the compensation. Then in Neil Bati Behra, again this was a case where the custodial death was in question, and therefore the Supreme Court has awarded the compensation. Then finally, what if you compare all these things, then you know that the Supreme Court what had said about the police authorities. Police authorities were saying that because we are the police officers, we have some sovereign immunity. The Supreme Court says in all these judgments, there are so many judgments you can see, but I have taken only these three judgments. So, and alien to the concept of guarantee of fundamental rights. The Supreme Court said that if you can't take the sovereign immunity and it is inapplicable to the fundamental rights, I have some sovereign immunity, and therefore the fundamental rights can be subordinate to this. This sovereign, and this similarly, the Supreme Court says that it is a very alien concept. It is have no business with the fundamental rights. The police authorities they don't have any kind of sovereign immunity. So this is the way the Supreme Court had said on this with Article 32 and 226. IPC and IPC, these are some general laws which are in the India, and they are talking about the procedure. there is one section 197. You all know that. I need not to tell much about this. You know that this is a kind of the section 197, which gives some kind of procedural safeguards under section 197, and it is often misused also, because you know that in section 197, whenever any FIR, whenever any complaint has been filed against the police officer, then there is need to seek permission from the government authorities. So while giving the permissions, the states has some kind of or the government has some kind of they are not doing as per as they should do. Sometimes they are delaying, and sometimes they are not doing very promptly. So 197, however, it gives some kind of the rights to the individual so that they can file a complaint against the police officer. But when the question is going to apply the section 197, then a lot of things happens also, and that while giving the consent, while allowing the FIRs against the police officer, then section 132 of CRPC. If you read section 130 of CRPC, it says that if they are doing anything in the good faith, but it also allows that they can be punished. So if you see in general, it says that you can prosecute, you can start and all this. But if you see the language, the way it has been used, it shows that the language officers can the police officers can be discussed properly. Now I would like to share here one document to all of you, so that everything can be clear very. Now it says protection against prosecution for acts under preceding sections. The language, the headings of section 132 of CRPC, it says that this is a kind of the prosecution, some kind of protection. But if you read, no prosecution against any person for any act purporting to be done under section 129, section 130, or section 131, government where such persons is an officer or member of the armed forces. So what you see, you have right to prosecute, but there is need to some sanctions from the center. That is given in section 129, 130, and 131. If you see, then what you find there. Hello. Okay. So I think I need to focus on the time. Thank you.
Out of time, sir.
Okay.
So, sir, please wind up your lecture, sir.
Okay. So now, apart from CRPC, you can see here that apart from the CRPC, then you can see there is another forum where we can do policing to establish the rule of law, and that is the Indian Police Act. If you go to section 7 of the Act, it talks about the appointment, and section 7 of the Act, which talks about the appointment, it also includes the dismissal. So if anyone who has been found, a police personnel who has been found guilty while violating any action, then that person can be dismissed also. And then section 29 is there. Then some penalties can be also imposed on the police officers. There is one case where the Supreme Court says that is the case of B.C. Chaturvedi versus Union of India. You all know this case, where the Supreme Court had said that whenever there is a disciplinary authorities which are fact-finding authorities and have exclusive power to consider the evidence with a view to maintain discipline. So the Supreme Court has given a kind of a window to the authorities which are taking action against these police officers. So if there is already a disciplinary committee and they are taking that matter, then the Supreme Court or the High Court will not interfere. The action will be taken as per the disciplinary action. So whatever the penalty is going to impose, then that will be there. So what you find that a kind of open window has been given by the judgment of B.C. Chaturvedi versus Union of India, where the police officers can be remained. Now, then another, that is a forum, that is which has been already discussed by the Saroj sir. So I will discuss only in very brief. That is Prakash Singh versus Union of India. Without discussing this case, we cannot discuss about the reform in the police system. This is a case where the Supreme Court there is need to have a police complaint authorities, and it should be at the state level and district level. The state level will have a right to take the matters against the rank of superintendent of police, and the district levels are allowed to take take the action against the police officers of any nature. So what you find that there is a difference also. If the if the complaint is going to take up by the state level authority, the nature of the complaint should be serious. And if it is going to be taken at the if it is going to taken at the state level, then the offenses can be of any nature. So what you find, there's a kind of bifurcation here that is questionable also, because rule of law says the equality before law. So any kind of complaint which comes, that should be addressed. There should not be any kind of changes also. Then there is also some problems with the PCA. That is, this some states are not fulfilling. Some states are having this kind of bodies in their state at the state and district level, and you can see the source from where I have taken this report. It may be some updated also, but you can see the source. If you go to the some updated, then you will get some other resources where you can see that the more state has taken this kind of the bodies in their state also. Then the next forum is, that is the NHRC and SRC. You all know that by the Human Rights Act of 1993, it has been established, and they have the power to inquire suo motu, and you can also file a petition against. What kind of the petitions can be filed, what kind of the matters can be taken by these bodies, that these bodies can take up the matters with respect to the human rights violations. While taking these matters, they can visit the prison, they can detention centers, they can visit detention centers also, they can give some recommendations, and they can also grant some compensation in case of the genuine violation of. So these are the things which I would like to discuss, that how these are the forums which will be able to help us to establish the rule of law, and through which that we can say that the police can be also, we can also do some policing on the police, because there is need to have a check and balance, and it is a part of it is not the policing, it is just kind of check and balance which we can do with these forums. So this is kind of a very kind of my brief idea, kind of brief discussion from my side, where we have tried to understand that how we can, what are the forums, and we can go to these forums to uphold the rule of law. Thank you for being with me and very patiently listening. I don't know but how many of you have got my views properly or not, but I had tried my best. However, if you want to discuss, my mail ID is there. I will share to all of you in the chat box. Thank you, Samanji, and thank you to the university which has invited to me.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas Upadhyay, sir. We understand the depth of your lecture, sir. You may not feel that to what extent we have learned field of research in the field of this police procedural justice and rule of law. If someone requires to do deep research, he or she must have minimum understanding what Dr. Vinod Kumar Sarwar has already recommended and what you have explored right now in your lecture, sir. अभी जितने हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं उनमें से किसी कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना हो तो क्वेश्चन आवर सेशन हम यहाँ पर फॉर 5 मिनट्स ओपन कर रहे हैं. तो कोई क्वेश्चन किसी को पूछना हो तो पूछ लें. और इसी के साथ एक इन्फॉर्मेशन ये है कि चैट बॉक्स में मैंने फीडबैक फॉर्म का लिंक सेंड कर दिया है, तो कृपया आप लोग अपना फीडबैक वहीं से फिल कर दीजिए. उसी के आधार पर आपको इस सर्टिफिकेट इशू किया जाएगा. तो बिफोर यू लीव दिस गूगल मीट, you are requested to kindly fill the feedback form. It is just a half-minute exercise, and it will be used to issue e-certificate to the concerned participant. If any participant has any question or query or suggestion to make, he or she is cordially welcomed in this national webinar. किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना हो, अभी आप अपना क्वेश्चन यदि फ्रेम कर रहे हो तो कर लें. इसी बीच में अपने सरगुजा विश्वविद्यालय से ही संबंधित एफिलिएटेड कॉलेज सरस्वती महाविद्यालय के प्राचार्य डॉक्टर बीपी तिवारी सर का स्वागत करता हूं, जिन्होंने कि थोड़ा सा लेट ज्वाइन किया है, लेकिन सर का बहुत ही सहयोग रहा है हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के लिए. और हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी में सर स्पोर्ट्स के कोऑर्डिनेटर भी हैं और सर ने बहुत सारी जगह टीम अपना भेजा हुआ है. सर खुद जो है पीएचडी है संस्कृत में, हिंदी में, और सर ने एलएलएम भी किया हुआ है. और अभी इनका जो है देखा जाए तो मास्टर्स कम से कम 4 से 5 सब्जेक्ट में है, डबल पीएचडी है, और मास्टर्स में इनका एक लॉ में भी मास्टर्स है.
तो डॉक्टर बीपी तिवारी सर को मैं इनवाइट करता हूँ कि हमारे बड़े भाई के रूप में हमेशा मुझे मिले हैं अंबिकापुर में, और अपने आशीर्वचन के रूप में 2 शब्द यहाँ पर हमें दें। और उन्हीं के आशीर्वचनों के साथ ही हम डॉक्टर विनोद कुमार सरोज जो मेरे बड़े भाई हैं, और डॉक्टर विकास कुमार उपाध्याय, इन दोनों लोगों से, जितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं सबसे मैं विदा लूंगा पूरे सम्मान के साथ। उनको धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करते हुए, लेकिन उससे पहले आशीर्वचन के रूप में डॉक्टर बीपी तिवारी सर को मैं आमंत्रित करता हूँ कि अपने आशीर्वचन हम लोगों को प्रदान करें। डॉक्टर बीपी तिवारी सर।
हेलो।
जी सर बोले।
हमारी बात सुन रहे हैं?
हाँ जी सर जी, देख भी रहे हैं, सुन भी रहे हैं।
नमस्कार सबको। इस वेबिनार में सभी सम्मानित वक्तागण हमारे जो हैं उनको हमारा सादर अभिवादन है। मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं कि आज इस तरह के प्रोग्राम को सम्मानीय हमारे भाई साहब समन जी ऑर्गेनाइज किए हैं। निश्चित रूप से इससे बहुत लाख के जितने भी विद्यार्थी हैं, विद्वान हैं, लाभ मिलेगा और मिला भी है। मैं इसको पूरा सुना हूँ। शायद आपने कहा कि हमें बहुत लेट जुड़ा है, हम तुरंत जुड़ गए थे। वक्ता के सर जो सामने है बोल रहे थे तभी मैं जुड़ गया था, ऐसा नहीं है। निश्चित रूप से पूरे कार्यक्रम को मैंने सुना है और बहुत अच्छा कार्यक्रम हुआ है। पिछली बार मैं चूक गया था, लेकिन इस बार मैं पूरे कार्यक्रम को सुना अच्छी तरह से, और निश्चित रूप से मुझे बहुत सारा एक आइडियाज मिले हैं। इसका मैं जरूर लाभ उठाने की कोशिश करूंगा। मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ समन सर को जो मुझे बोलने के लिए मौका दिया है, और इस कार्यक्रम में शामिल होने के लिए 2 मिनट पहले मुझे उन्होंने एक गाड़ी भेजा था। मुझे याद आ गया, अस्पताल में जुड़ा था। कल मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया था, इसके बावजूद भी मैं और धन्यवाद देता हूँ। और सभी दर्शकों को पुनः एक बार मैं आभार और आग्रह करता हूँ कि इस तरह कार्यक्रम हो तो जरूर मुझे इनवाइट किया जाए, और ऐसा अगर लिंक भेजा जाएगा तो मैं अवश्य जुड़ूंगा। और उसको बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। नमस्कार, जय हिंद, धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। तो अपने सभी रिसोर्स पर्सन्स का, अपने सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स का मैं अपने विश्वविद्यालय संत गहिरा गुरु विश्वविद्यालय सरगुजा अंबिकापुर की तरफ से हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। मित्रों, आप लोगों को मैं एक चीज सूचित कर दूं कि हमारे वाइस चांसलर जो इस समय सरगुजा डिवीजन की कमिश्नर मैडम है, मिस जीजे बिना किंडो मैडम, अपने बिजी शेड्यूल के कारण आज ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाई। और हमारे जो रजिस्ट्रार सर हैं मिस्टर विनोद कुमार एक्का सर, अभी थोड़ा सा उनका क्वारंटाइन वाला केस चल रहा है इस कोरोना पीरियड में, तो कुछ टेक्निकल इश्यूज की वजह से वो भी ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाए। लेकिन जब हम नेक्स्ट फोर्टनाइट में ज्वाइन करेंगे अपने इसी टॉपिक पर एक हम माइक्रो लेवल का थीम लेकर के आएंगे, और उस पर फिर डिस्कस करेंगे स्पेसिफिक स्फीयर में पुलिस फंक्शनिंग को लेते हुए। और हमारे स्पीकर्स जो अभी आज हैं ये भी रहेंगे, और फिर कुछ नए स्पीकर्स को भी इसमें हम इंक्लूड करेंगे। तो उम्मीद है कि आप लोग उसमें भी अपना इसी प्रकार से पार्टिसिपेशन के माध्यम से योगदान देंगे, क्योंकि आपका पार्टिसिपेशन बताता है कि जो हमारा प्रयास है लीगल एजुकेशन में रिसर्च को ऑगमेंट करने का, बढ़ावा देने का, वो सही दिशा में जा रहा है। तो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ लीगल स्टडीज की तरफ से, खुद मेरी तरफ से, और संत गहिरा गुरु विश्वविद्यालय सरगुजा अंबिकापुर तथा इसके तमाम प्राधिकारियों की तरफ से आप सभी का मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी को ज्ञापित करता हूँ। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार। और नवरात्रि का यह पावन पर्व प्रारंभ हो चुका है, आज प्रथम दिन है, तो सभी लोगों को नवरात्रि की भी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। माँ भगवती सब पर कृपा बरसाएं। नमस्कार। और आप लोग क्विट करने के पहले अपना चैट बॉक्स में से निकाल करके फॉर्म फिल कर दीजिएगा, जो फीडबैक फॉर्म है, क्योंकि उसी के आधार पर आपको हम ई सर्टिफिकेट इशू करेंगे। मुझे बाद में पता चला कि जैसे ही हम क्विट कर जाते हैं तो उसके बाद से फिर जो चैट बॉक्स है वो डिसअपीयर कर जाता है। इसीलिए फिर हमारे स्टूडेंट ने सजेशन दिया, तो मैंने उसको तुरंत इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया। आप लोग कृपया फॉर्म फिल करके ही आप क्विट करेंगे इस गूगल मीट से। तो मैं फिर ट्वीट करता हूँ, आप लोग अपना फॉर्म भर दीजिएगा। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।